Hello there, welcome back to another series of shows. Today I'm going to talk about Joint Security Area, or JSA, which was Park Chan-Wook's first big success. He'd made two other films that he doesn't like talking about much because more or less he kind of used them the same way Kubrick viewed his earlier films, like early work, learning the craft. It's not them the best. It's like, don't bother watching these. These are just learning exercises more than anything. This is his first major success, his first major film, and it's a one that a lot of people view as one of his best films. Now, he has gone on to do a lot of other big films. He did the Vengeance trilogy. He's done Thirst, Stoker, The Handmaiden. And he did the little drummer belt girl on TV, the John le Carre adaptation. So he's done quite a lot of, he's been prolific throughout the years. Some films have done better than others. GSA even was a big hit in Korea, his home base. It didn't really transfer over to the West that much. It was one of those films that came over as like, from the director of Old Boy, here's one of his early films, I mean, I remember I was into Asian films in the 2000s, early 2000s, and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Old Boy were much bigger films, much cultier, much cooler films to get into than GSA. GSA was just viewed as, at least the stuff for what I was reading was, it's a good early debut, but this is the real kind of hip stuff he's doing now. This is the stuff you should really pay attention to. It was viewed that way. At least to me, that's my recollection of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I view it. So I'm going to try and pronounce the names now that are going to be terrible. So Lee Young-A plays Major Sophie E. Jean, she's of Korean descent, but she lives in Switzerland, and because of an incident on the Joint Security Area, which is basically the border between North Korea and South Korea, there's varying stories. No one's quite sure what happens. They bring in a neutral party, but who also has Korean connections, so she's brought in to try and work out what happened because she won't have a political bias, so it's easier to understand what's going on. I mean, the two main protagonists are basically Lee Byung-hun and Song Kang-ho as, the North and South Korean people who are, the ones that are the protagonists, who are actors who would go on to be in multiple films. Both of them have had very good careers, so I'm not going to try and list all their accomplishments. All you want to do is go to the Asian Movie Enthusiast channel or Touch a Film, and both of them have tons of films on the channel, so that's where you go for that stuff. You don't come to me for that stuff. I'll just butcher things, the names of things. Right, so I'm getting better at it, but I'm still kind of a bit nervous pronouncing any of these names. So basically she has to come in anyway and try and work it out. She's got these advisors who are there and who are watching carefully because they don't want an incident beyond what's already there. So the early part of the film is her actually interviewing both sides. I mean, basically it comes across as the South Korean guy was kidnapped by North Korea. He had a shootout and he escaped and he got back to his side. Then the South Koreans arrived really quickly and protected him and got him back over the border. From the North Korean side of it, they're saying that no, he wasn't kidnapped at all. It was a set-up to make them look bad, and why was half the army there straight away? Like, that's dodgy. So basically both sides have their stories and they're sticking to it, and she just looks into it. She's not going to get any help from the North or South Korean because they want to view both sides as heroes and portray the other side as, scumbags and horrible people and, like patriotism. Our side was the better side. We survived their horrible incursion, or we survived their horrible kidnapping. They're trying to just sort of patriot it up, And you're seeing the kind of selling, how they sell each other, how they sell themselves to the world, and she has to try and work out what's going on. And because she can speak the language, but she doesn't really come from the country, she has a kind of distance view of politics. To her, it's an assignment. It'll make her look good if she solves it. They want it solved, but politically, they just want it to go away. Everyone just wants this to go away. Can we not think about it too much? Just leave it as a little thing that happened, and no one quite knows what went on. And there's various sources, and let's not go into it, and let's not start a war over it. And that's just the way the situation is. It's just the politics. I mean, everyone's into the politics. We do not want to start a war over something stupid. You know. And that's where the film starts, and it's watching her go through the threads, looking at the physical evidence, saying some of this doesn't make sense. How many bullets were in the gun that was shot? It just feels like it doesn't quite match up. And I'm looking at the habits of the soldiers and ask them to load weapons up and things so you can see what their habits are to do it and try to make sense of it all, because it doesn't quite make sense. Because both of the South Koreans that she's talking to initially seem quiet and they're not going to say anything. But they don't. They're not cynical. They're not nasty. They're just they look traumatized by the whole thing and they can't believe this message going on. But things aren't adding up. There's some stuff to the story that doesn't quite work. But being never quite sure watching the film, like, is it something really sinister or is it something else? Because it's going towards the sinister, like, what is the plot? What is the big mechanism that's causing this thing that doesn't quite make sense? It's like, because neither side's story makes sense ultimately. Like, why would the North Koreans almost start a war by kidnapping somebody from South Korea? That would be stupid unless they want to start a war, and they say they don't. And the North Koreans' story about South Korea, the guy coming over and basically attacking them, doesn't make sense again, because they want to start a war. Like, nothing makes sense here. Nothing's coming together in a way that anyone can understand. Again, that's why they want to push it away. It's like, we don't want to know. There's something about this we don't want to know about. We just don't want to know what's going on here. We just want to have a report to say, let's never think of it again. And of course, at the centre of all is this mystery. Like, what actually happened? Because as a viewer, it doesn't make sense. It's like one of those things, it's like, if you're in her position, you wouldn't have a clue where to start beyond doing the basic stuff, because nothing makes sense. As a viewer, you're really intrigued because it objectively doesn't make sense. There's just something just not right here. There's like, and you're looking for conspiracy the way she is, and it's like, even any conspiracy theory doesn't make sense. It's ultimately something that's strange and haunting and weird, and there's violence took place. And all of us seem to be his victims, and she starts to see who everyone was that got killed. Like one of the guys was a artist, like he drew a lot and he was very good at drawing. Then there's the commander of the base, who was also shot, was in a coma for a bit, and he's very experienced but kind of cynical about the world. And the two people on our side, on the South Korean side, are very quiet about the whole thing. They do not want to go into detail. They do not want to bring it up. They do not want to deal with whatever happened. They don't want to deal with it. It's like, please don't ask us about it. It's just horrible. Just, no. So it's just that thing of, like, what happened. It's got that thing that The Vanishing had, where the setup's so good you kind of want to know. You really want to know what happened, because it's not following conventional rules. Like, the setup for the mystery is not something you've seen a million times before. It's like, it's unique and it's odd and it's weird. I mean, another one like that is a Quatermass experiment, where there's a setup to that's really odd and hard to figure out, well, where the hell is this going to go, because the plot setup is so unique. So there is that feeling to the first half of the film. It's like, this is really fascinating. There's something really bizarre going on, and the clock's running down slowly as they try to work it out, and they can't quite work out what the hell's going on. And that's the first that's the first third of the movie. And then it develops in a different way, which means you haven't got any spoilers, really, ultimately. So I'm going to do a final little talk about it before getting into spoilers, and I'm going to spoilers. Essentially, this is a wonderful film. It's a very humane film. The acting's terrific. It's much more layered the more you know. The more you find out, the more you see what's going on early on, is a lot more layered than you thought, and it's way more humane than you thought, and it's very intriguing, and it's a wonderful mystery and a wonderful resolution. It's just one of those films that's just perfectly put together. It's like you couldn't do this film better if you tried. It's just like the right actors, the right director, the right story. Everything just came together in this film. It just came together so beautifully. And because it's it's still kind of an unknown quantity compared to some of the director's films, it's a nice surprise when you get to see it, because it's not like the Vengeance trilogy. It's much warmer than the Vengeance trilogy, and there's way more humanity, so it's something else. And it is just wonderful. It's so warm, so moving, it's just great. But now I'm going to spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, stop here. Like I'm saying, do not go into spoilers. Do not try and just go watch the film, because you're really going to ruin it, because the surprises in this film are great to enjoy as you see them happen. They really are. They're really worth put your time out. So stop here if you haven't seen it, for your own good. Okay, now to spoilers. So you enter them out at your own risk. Right, the twist is wonderful. The twist is really wonderful. Basically what happened was, at a certain point you jump back in time into memories of one of the characters, where you see this, like, everything that went wrong started 9 months before. It starts off with something that was mentioned briefly early on about the past of one of the characters, and about how he got lost once, and he's trapped in a mine, and he basically got out the landmine, and he actually got back to his troop. Well, what actually happened was he went for a pee during a walk with his troops along the border. They get lost, accidentally go into the North Korean side, realise a mistake, and leave quickly. Unfortunately, he was one of the sergeant was actually going for a pee at the time, because he was desperate. And he comes back and he finds that none of his people are there, and suddenly he's stepped in a landmine. He has to try and get it out. He can't get out of that, and he's like, I'm stuck here and I'm in real trouble. Two North Koreans then appear a few hours later on there, they're just walking the route. And they see him trapped there, and it's like, well, because they're basically walking a dog. And these are the two guys who are going to be involved in that incident later on. And after they kind of mock each other a little bit, they do help him out. They actually unclip the landmine, let him get his foot out, and it's like, okay, just go back to your troop. We don't want to start an incident here. You know, they take the mickey at each other a little bit, and they give them the little bit of the landmine just to use a souvenir. So it's a very humane moment. Then later on, as they're just doing their routines, they're marching. Two different troops see each other from north and south, and they meet at the centre, pretty much at the border, wave, exchange cigarettes, and of course some of these people recognise each other from that incident. Then later on they find themselves at both sides at this one border bit where the incident takes place. They're on one side, you know, the South Koreans on one side, North Koreans on the other side, these individuals who know each other from these situations, and they start throwing messages across each other because they're sitting bored. Because they're just staring across each other, hoping no one attacks, and knowing no one will attack, but they're just bored. They're just waiting out the military service. I mean, the military service in the south is much shorter than the north. And slowly but surely, from the messages, they become friends, and ends up, one of them goes over to the other side, and they just start messing around and chatting and silly with each other because they're bored. The assignment is terrible, and eventually the South Korean brings his other South Korean comrade over from their side of the north and he just messes around with two guys from the north, and they just try to avoid any other army from the other side, just so they can mess around and chat and be pal of each other and basically be a bunch of guys sitting in a bored situation, just trying to survive being bored of their skulls. And that's it. That's the incident. That's what causes all the havoc. In the middle of this paranoid war that makes no bloody sense, a bunch of guys just wanted to pass the time together. And they weren't going to try to change each other. They weren't trying to bring each other over. Any little comments about that falls away, and they realise, no, they're both sides are committed to their own ideology, but it's fine. It's like, who cares? It's like, well, we still got on. We're still fine. And they're very kind to each other and all the rest of it, so it's a very good bonding thing for them. It's a breaking through the propaganda and just seeing the human at the other side of the fence, and seeing the human as everyone's normal, everyone's fine. It's just a war. So they're stuck in this situation. People have had to throw their lives up to this absurd situation, and they just try and survive their way out of it. Because one of them's very short. He's only got a few months left. He's just trying to survive once he can before he can leave the army and be on his way home and get on with his life. And he's done his bit at the wall, and it's not his problem after that. He can just be a civilian again. Another guy who's much more naive, he has to stay there. And the two guys in North Korea, they have to stay there for ages. They're there forever. And just them bantering with each other, but both each other's sides, and how they bond over the Northerners seeing all the stuff the Southerners bring over, like the pornography and all these other, the booze and stuff, and it just becomes this bonding thing of these guys who are just trying to survive this terrible situation. And it's just a very great sequence. But of course, hanging over this is something's going to go bad, and you don't know what exactly goes bad, but you know something's going to go wrong, and you're waiting for that shoe to drop. Is it going to be political? Well, they set that up as potentially, and then they diffuse that. Because, no, they don't. Neither side care enough about that to. They have their loyalties, but they're not going to inflict on the other side. So it's not political. It's like, what happened that caused this havoc? What happened because they get closer and closer, and you really feel for all the characters through the middle section. And then suddenly all hell breaks loose. One of the North Koreans who was found dead at the site is just someone who wanders from place to place. He's just a guard, but he's not stationed anywhere. He appears while the South Koreans are there, as they're about to leave. And it's only the final night of crossing over, because one of them is pretty much going to go home after that. All hell breaks loose. The guns are out. And despite the affection everyone's got for each other, shots happen and people die. And what we're left with is a tragedy of the paranoia of the war caused emotional havoc, and basically meant that even if you get out alive from the initial situation, you're actually so guilt-ridden and feel so horrible about it that you can't really move on. So, I mean, basically, like, both of the South Koreans attempt suicide, and one of them uses a gun, so he succeeds. Another one is basically a vegetable. Out of the North Koreans, one of them dies in the incident, another one basically is thrown out of the army after the incident. Really, he's like, don't want you anymore. He's been a career army guy, so it shows a total desolation of these guys' lives over the friendship with people from the other side. So it's a very moving, tragic story about what happens when you see humanity of your supposed enemy, and how ambiguous the whole thing is, and how difficult, and how this creation of these ideologies fighting each other is just like just so destructive and horrible and useless. It's utterly useless. I mean, that's what the film is ultimately about, is the tragedy of the whole situation. As it goes on, you see even like the investigators, they're getting toughed out as well, because no one wants a solution found. Nobody wants to know what happened. They really don't. And as soon as she pushes too much, and they find out that her father used to be a North Korean general, and then they left the country after the war, but she's still politically tainted in some way, so she has to leave the investigation, even though she doesn't care about that stuff. It's still a way to get rid of her. And at that point, she's worked it all out. And she says, I can either leave this information to the next investigator, or I can just leave a very bland one. I just want to know what happened. So once she finds out what actually happened, it's still kind of, it's just a tragedy, trying to deal with the tragedy of what happened, because it's like, no one in this thing was malicious. It was just that one person showed up at the wrong time, and this person was the zealot of the bunch, and it was just tragedy. And that's what's great about the film. It's so moving. It's a very human, emotional film. It's not dark. It's not distance. It's like, it starts off as the paranoia, making you feel the paranoia. Well, one thing this film does really well is using the plot to make you feel how the characters feel. And so the first starts from the perspective of Sophie as she tries to work it all out, and then it becomes the perspective of the soldiers as they know what they shouldn't be doing, and how they get paranoid about how the friendships they create help them get through the time. And then you pull it back again to see the consequences and the paranoia that they're now living with because of that. So you basically see the South Korean characters being paranoid, then being more naive, and then pulling back to the paranoia of the consequences of what's happened. So the actual filmmaking is about, like, always putting you inside the head. The plot development is always putting you inside the head of the characters so you know how they're feeling. It's not just a plot. The plot's there, but it's actually showing the story of these guys, of what's happened to them, and the tragedy of what's happened to them, and how they just can't escape one little mistake that wasn't really a mistake. It was just like human nature, it was just kindness. So it's just a wonderful film. It's like, I'm probably not even doing it justice. I don't even know all the political, social stuff that's probably in there that a South Korean or North Korean of the sort could tell you about. I don't know that stuff. I'm from Scotland. Just from a purely filmmaking perspective, it's wonderful. Storytelling perspective, it's wonderful. The characters are great. You really get engaged with the struggle, with the problems. I mean, you find out a lot of the characters, but you only find out so much because of the film. But it's enough to make you pretty much very clear on who everyone is and what they're about. And also, I mean, a lot of these guys are just kids. They haven't grown up at all yet. They're still doing silly things. They still act childish in some ways. They're basically kids. They're not mature enough to be able to handle all these problems. So it's like, of course they're going to react badly when all hell breaks loose. I mean, the whole situation is caused because some soldiers who are a bit more childish than probably should be, but that's the way human nature is. That's just life. So that's a wonderful film. Go see it. It's great. I don't understand why I'm saying go see it when I'm already in the spoilers. That's stupid. Anyway, go rewatch it. That's better. Go rewatch it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back soon for another one. Bye for now.